Who wants to see the most boring part about custom paint when you're doing patterns? Because that's what I'm doing. Every cool pattern job is a whole bunch of picking and weeding. Unless you're using like a hard stencil, but me, I'm using a mask. Good afternoon. A couple of you just showed up. Sorry for not announcing these. I'm just in my studio, bored, picking. So I figured, why not share my boredom? And if anyone wants to chat, they're welcome to. Yeah, hearing the plotter in the background, cutting the next pattern, because I'm doing a whole bunch of different patterns on this painting. Yep, always fun weeding, exactly. Anytime you see a bike that's got really bitchin' pattern that you can tell wasn't just a piece of mesh, stretched over the bike or just sprayed through like a hard stencil, this had to happen. Someone sat there and did all the picking. A lot of times I have my daughter do this because it's a great way to make a few bucks and it helps me out. Well, you're doing tile? What's up, Anino? So yeah, this is for that koi painting I started yesterday. This is going to be a pattern inside one of the like panel areas. And I made too much of it, but like I want it to be even across the whole top of the piece. It's going to cut across 3 different panel windows. Oh yeah, no, I've done that before too, man. Ruin it all the way, almost done. Yeah. The reason I like this vinyl too is this is the FBS green mask. So it cuts so nice and easy, and it weeds really nice. And this is the transparent stuff; you can see right through it. Like so, you can see right through the stuff. It's pretty clear. The worst part about like the time is you spend all this time, you spend the time to get it on there right, and it's literally 30 seconds of spraying, and then you peel it all off. I mean, this design is, this artwork is flat, so if I had a hard stencil, I could have just used that, but I want that frisk. I want that really crisp edge. And you only really get super crisp when you have a stencil that sticks down. Morning, Marshall. This is for the same painting. And that noise in the background is my rolling plotter. Plotting another element that's back there. Give you guys a sneak peek at what I'm doing. These are some of the patterns that I've developed last night. Yeah, these are based on Japanese sashiko, the water waves, this, and then for the background, I'm doing this water ripple effect. And I could hand cut these, but I'm really going for specific looks. That's why I did the plot file. And that's going to all go basically inside these windows. So like these fan guys are going to go up inside here. This wave pattern. Oops. Let me see if I can get it over here. This wave pattern is basically going to go. Trying to use two-handed here, one-handed. This wave is basically going to go like that over everything. And that'll be all flake underneath and candy. So it'll be pretty cool. It's different for me. So something fun. From Abu Dhabi, man. Thank you for popping in, Sean. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Welcome. Just sitting here, weeding a bunch of vinyl. So I figured I'd pop on and just say hi to everyone. Keep my sanity. You know, like, it looks like I have hours and hours of work on the painting. The painting is not going to take the long part. It was getting all this stuff designed, and there's vector stuff you could buy out there that's already done kind of like this. But the problem is, it's, again, all the vector stuff out there, which is why I keep developing my own versions of stuff. And tweaking it to make it my own, or just making it from scratch, because most of the stuff out there is not designed for people who are going to cut it on a stencil, or, that's mostly designed for people who are going to print stuff, and the files aren't clean, and they have a lot of overlapping lines, and they're just horrible to work with. So all my stuff is designed for someone who's going to plot stuff clean and needs it to be clean for bikes. And it's not going to be printed and seen like for a million miles away. It's going to be right up close. So I think I was up to about 10, 11 last night, and I was doing all new vectors, and I got a whole pile of them. I think I did 7 new patterns last night. So eventually I'll make these available, like my pattern mega collection that's been out for a year or two now. Year. So I'll probably release this one right around the same time, like a year, probably do around Black Friday. I'll have a bunch of new vectors out. Because right when SEMA gets finished, then I can work on some new stuff for everyone. So right after SEMA, we'll get some new projects. I usually get amped up when I'm at SEMA, and I get all sorts of new ideas and new inspiration to create new stuff. So but here's a little trick that I'll show you. I definitely recommend vinyl picks. I love them. On the bike, I tend to use plastic razor blades to pull it off, but for picking vinyl, this works best. So the trick I do when I'm doing patterns like this, like get into a rhythm, okay? I pick, I roll it up my finger like this, okay? See, it's rolled. And I leave the vinyl on it, and the next one I roll, and the next one I roll, and the next one. And that little vinyl actually helps it stick. It's almost like counting money. You get your fingers wet enough, it's just right, and you can just... Okay. The seam is amazing. It's fun. It's a lot of work. But if you've never gone, I highly recommend it. Basically, you just need to be in the automotive field. So if you have a legit business, you can register at SEMA. Someone asked me last night how they get in. And it's really easy. You go on the SEMA website. You provide them with your business details. They gotta want proof of business, like you usually need to provide a business permit copy. If you have employees, they typically will require payroll slips for each employee you want to register to go. They're pretty strict about it now. They used to be a lot easier, but before, basically, if you had a business card, they'd let you in it, or a website, a business card. Now, Now they're pretty demanding. They want a website, business certificate, all sorts of things to make sure you're in the automotive industry because it's just such a packed show. They do actually this year. Last year was the first year they did it. Well, it might have been the year before, but I think it was last year. They do open it to the public on Friday. So if you're in Vegas, you can go to SEMA on Friday. You know, you'll see a very small portion of the show. Because Friday the show, and you'll see the parade where all the cars leave. But it's a shorter day because the show will only go like, I think at 9, and the show basically, the parade starts around 3, and they start emptying out, and the show's over at 5 or 4, and you can't actually see that much of the show that time. The show is massive. Oh, change my angle. What's up, Go For It Painting? What's happening? I want everyone to share in my weeding misery. As my other patterns cut. I've always said the one thing about guys who are like, oh, I don't need a plotter. The nice thing about a plotter is, you know, and I used to hand cut all this stuff, is while I'm weeding, the machine is cutting the next job. So it's basically a nice employee, or it's duplicating myself. Because, man, when I used to hand cut this stuff, it was torture. It was absolute torture. And there's guys that still do it. I see some guys in the RC channels that hand cut some amazing stuff. But it's not the smartest, most efficient way to work. Especially with stuff like this, man. This is so repetitive. And it's really just filler. What's up, Cody? So you're not getting brownie points or paid any extra to cut everything like this by hand. So the plotters are so cheap now. I know the shop I used to work at when I got my first shop. It was out of a sign shop, and their first plotter that they got in the 90s was something like, it was like the early 90s, mid 90s they got it. I think they paid $20,000 for a plotter then. So yeah, this is me picking and weeding. Again, I don't show a lot of this stuff on the live feed, but I figured why not show some of it during the day, since this is the reality of certain parts of the job. And this is literally for 3 little sections on it. I'm probably only going to use a couple pieces of it, but I'm just weeding extra. And I'll be doing these demos at SEMA. And I'll be doing little mini make and take panels and showing people lessons. So if you want to come by the Iwata booth or FBS booth, I'll be demoing all the different films from FBS. I forget the booth number. I need the booth number. But I mean, you see how this stuff, the FBS mask, the blue and the green, are just stellar. They're just amazing how well they work. But they are not cheap. So the biggest complaint I hear about FBS is, oh, you know, I can get Avery for, you know, 1/10 of it, and it really is. The Avery's cheap, but the Avery works great. I still use it for my big stuff. When I'm doing big filler areas and big graphics, I use Avery because it's cheap, and I don't need to worry about the edge. But when I have to worry about fine art, super clean edges, and extraordinarily flexible vinyl that can get around every corner and not wrinkle, and something that's going to be super detailed cut and not mess up, this is why I go with the green. Oh, so I will show you the difference. Really simple. Let me go cut a piece. Oh, blue. So the blue is opaque, super stretchy, really flexible, cuts like butter, and is super thin. The green is also super thin, super flexible, cuts like butter, but it's transparent. That's the benefit to the green. So the green, they both wrap exactly the same. They both cut the same. They're both the same thickness. The tack is about 10% lower on this, but it doesn't affect the way it handles. They just did it because they found the initial one was a little too strong. So what I do mostly is I use the blue for 90% of stuff. But when I'm layering or I got to see through graphics and like stack, I use this. And when I'm doing it on a painting like this or fine art, it helps me because even when this is off, you can't really see it here. But when I pull this off the transfer tape, I can see through it and I can line it up into position where I want it. Yeah, these both will wrap. So if you're doing Goalie Mask, man, this stuff this stuff just stretches even without heat. But if you heat it up, it's like butter. You got to be careful because it's almost too stretchy. So what I do a lot of times is I use a transfer tape by Art Tape called AT75. It's a clear, vinyl transfer. It's a clear transfer. But the reason it's nice, it stretches almost at the same rate, so you can get it on a ball even when it's cut. And another trick I've done, and most people would never think of this, and it's expensive to do it this way, but I've actually used, if I cut the blue, I've actually used the green as transfer tape. Because it'll work. And it'll pull off. It takes a little bit, but or I've used blue on top of blue and then just heat it up and I stretch the whole thing like a ball and then pull it off and take your time. You can use vinyl as transfer when you need it. So I don't often do it, but it's a nice little trick that most people don't think of doing. No, so the nice thing about all FBS products, if you overstretch it, like any vinyl, it will move. However, 3Ms, for some reason, and other brands, their glue is worse. And it leaves like a glue track, and like I call it a snail trail. It leaves a trail behind. And the paint doesn't stick to it, and it's gross. But I showed it yesterday. So what I do when I'm doing fine line work, like flames, any super tight corners or crossovers, once I'm set, I hit it with a lighter, like a torch lighter, just from a distance, or even a heat gun, and then push everything down, and that deletes the vinyl memory, and it won't move at all on you. I learned that trick from lowrider painters. Actually, I was sitting next to, not name dropping to name drop, but I was at SEMA working next to Ryan from Counts and Armando. They were both doing lowrider panel stuff, and every time they did big crossovers, they hit it with a torch. Like, what the hell are you guys doing? They're like, oh, it deletes the memory, and it seals up the vinyl, so the edge, so paint doesn't leak under, and you can leave it for days. I'm like, no shit. I've been doing it for years and never saw anyone do that. So, yep, torch lighter, like a crack pipe lighter, works great. See, like I said, usually at night I get my daughter to do this stuff for me and give her some money. When I had my commercial shop, Wayne LePage worked for me for a while. I was an apprentice, and helped me out for a couple years, and he would get stuck doing a lot of this stuff. But yeah, all the patterns on this koi painting are all going to be Japanese sashiko style. Sashiko, I forget I got to learn the pronunciation. So, but fun, right? Yeah, you could do that if you want it less tacky. That's a cool trick. I used to just put it on my shirt and get lint on it. But a mist of 40-50 is a good idea. Very cool trick. Thank you for sharing. Isn't this fun? Do you still get paranoid about delamination? Nah. Not really. Maybe when I am doing... The only time I get paranoid delamination is when I'm doing work over gold leaf. Like, if I'm going to mask over gold leaf, the paranoia is, did I put the glue down right? Did I wait too long? Did I wait long enough? That's where I kind of get paranoid. Well, paint, nah. I'm pretty confident in the paint, whether I'm using water or solvent. I've been doing it long enough that it's really... Delams are really not very common. And I'm going to... People hate when I say this, but 90% of delams is user error. It's not the paint. Put it on too dry, or too wet too fast and never dried underneath. The two most common things I've seen go wrong. Or conditions. Like it was super hot or nastily humid. You know, that's typically delams happen. But if you're working, you're pretty diligent in a normal environment, delams are really rare. Especially base coat to base coat. Struggle is PE. What's PE? Oh, plasticking. So a lot of people have issues with plastics. A couple reasons, and some people have them with carbon fiber as well. In most cases, it's static. You wipe it down with a degreaser, and the degreaser, a lot of times with a rag, will create a static in the plastic, and then won't stick. And if you're worried about adhesion, for base coat or primer, direct, I always use an adhesion remoter. Not really so much with Createx, as if I'm sealing it with 40-50, their Autoborn sealer, that stuff damn now sticks to everything. They do make, Createx does have a adhesion remoter, and you can use like I think you can use, I've never done it. I think you can use like a Bulldog or a regular one, but they do make their own adhesion remoter. But I think you can use a regular one. But the Createx Autoborn sealers for water-based stick to damn everything. As far as like automotive solvent sealers and primers on plastic, always use adhesion remoter. Whether it's, a lot of people like Bulldog. I like Bulldog, it's all right. My favorite adhesion remoter for solvent paints is House of Colors AP01. AP01 works so well. I've gotten candy directly to stick to chrome with that stuff. It's amazing. So this one, I don't think I'm going to weed this out because it's so damn fine. I'll show you. Like, but it cut really well. I think it's going to be better to weed this on the part itself. But you can see how detailed everything is. This is why I love the FBS mask because I'll show you how fine that is. I'd never get Avery to cut that fine. Just wouldn't. Can barely see it. But you can see how clean it is. So usually when it's like this fine, I will weed it. I'll stick the whole piece down and weed it there on the part itself. But you can kind of see what I'm doing. That's how fine this stuff is. And how well the green cuts. Because that's tiny. And this is a whole like Japanese water pattern with all the different directions in it. See? Super tiny. Like razor blade wise. Yeah, it cuts really nice. That's why I use it on this. And then I got this pattern over here. I'll probably do the same thing. It's got bigger shapes, so it's a little bit easier to pick and weed. But see how small that is? Again, it'll be easier. It'll be easier if I do this on the piece, so those won't pull up. But again, you'll see how small those are. And that's it. So, using that pattern, what else did I make? You guys don't often get to see the computer station. This is, actually I just got this. This is the Huion graphic tablet, so full, draw on screen type of deal. I've had Wacom's for years, and there she is. That thing's about 10 years old, 12 years old, and it started to get a little flaky. It still works, but it gets glitchy with newer computers and the USB-C, so I'm probably just going to sell this for parts. It's just a little outdated. But that's a 24-inch drawing screen, and the new version of that is $2,600. This is a 24-inch drawing screen by Huion, and it's almost as good performance as the Wacom. Wacom's got a better pen, but for all intents and purposes, does a really good job. It was $1,000, so ended up with that. Let's see, what other patterns do we do here? That's the ripple I designed. That's the pattern for that. That's the wave pattern. What else we got here? Oh, got that one. So these are some of the ones that are going to be coming soon. Let's see, do I have anything else? O2. Yeah, kind of a lotus flower looking one. So I'll probably use some of these. Yeah, I usually weed on the project, but stuff like this where I know it's going to weed super fast, it's easier to pick it here and weed it than on the surface because I'm not picking into my paint job. So yeah, it just depends. Yeah, so what I do with this is I use a pick and my finger, pick and my finger, pick and my finger, pick and my finger like that. Or an X-Acto blade. I'll use my X-Acto knife, and then I have plastic razor blades I'll use if I'm being really delicate. It depends if I'm working over clear coat or base coat or what I'm working on. Like big stuff like this, it's easier to just go boom, 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 and get in the rhythm. This stuff's going to be done on the surface. Yep. And I think that's it, kiddies. I think I'm going to go for lunch now, and then start applying this. And this thing's got to be done today, so I got to get this painting done and into clear coat tonight. I don't want to go tomorrow. So the goal is to get it done and get it in the first round of clear. And then if I have to do any touch-ups tomorrow, I can do some touch-ups tomorrow and then do final clear. So, cool. Thanks for popping in, guys. Don't forget, if you're into some patterns, I have a whole ton up already on McKayFineArt.com. And that is like the pattern mega collection and a whole bunch of other ones. You know, actually in my library here, they can see just a few of them. You know, but these are all up on. We got tons of them up on McKay Fine Art. So, thanks for popping in, guys. And I will see you all when this is done. Peace.